I think regarding what I've just heard, even drawing examples from my own leadership ever since I joined here in the University of Nairobi, I'll just say that we're in changed times, not just in Kenya, even when you go to Uganda, Makerere, even when you go to South Africa, Nigeria, whereby we have seen way before students advocating for various rights. First of all, we must ask ourselves, why do students protest, or rather, why do they have that activism? First of all, there is this fight for social change. Sometimes also students fight, of course, for their own issues. Take, for instance, school fees, issues that, of course, have been even a problem here in Kenya. But then again, it takes an ounce of a ton of enlightenment for an ounce of perception to change or evolve. Sometimes, even for those who have been in the University of Nairobi or even Kenyatta University, way before, very many students were protesting in such a way that we would see a destroyment of property, we would see massive killings, a number of things which are very much negative. Now, here in the University of Nairobi, we have seen way before students, of course, fighting for their own rights, but things have evolved over time. Nowadays, something which you would fight for on the streets to achieve is something which, for instance, you can come up with policy changes. You can even petition the National Assembly. You can even petition whoever is likely to effect those changes, and you are able to do it successfully. My brother has spoken about even the Duale Bill, which is true. Students have been suppressed by very many ways, but then it has not really prevented them from advocating for their own rights. Why am I saying this? Because the Kenya University Students Organization, which if you look at the way we do our elections, is not the same way as been advanced by the Duale Bill. We come up with radical students. We come up with students who have a serious voice. Now, in individual universities, we have, of course, suppression of students' voices through a delegate vote kind of voting, as opposed to universal suffrage. And we have seen universities bring up very weak student leaders. Some of them are surrogates of their school administrations. But then the overall leadership of the country, these are students who are driven by radical change, people who are driven by passion, people who want to effect change in our society. Why am I saying this? Simply because even you look at what has happened since 2016, when that bill was proposed in the National Assembly and it was passed. Students protested in 2017. 2018, they went to the streets. 2018, towards the end, they did peaceful protests here at the university, and eventually, we ourselves initiated petitions which were debated upon on the National Assembly. Then we have seen the same politicians suppress those bills. And out of 11 petitions which were being proposed, all of them were shot down. Is it a problem on the student side? No. It is a problem with our political leaders. And then again, we have seen students also come out in big numbers through other ways, like, for instance, our social networks, Twitter Spaces, Facebook, and all other modern social platforms to fight for various issues that we have in the society. I would just like to finish by saying that I'll just give a classical example of how many times we have seen students, why we think that whatever was happening before should not really happen. Examples, for instance, between 1969 and 1990, the University of Nairobi and it closed almost to 20 times. 1974, there was a strike in the University of Nairobi of our architectural department, whereby we had seen students fighting for their own rights. There were massive killings of students by the police. That is, of course, extrajudicial killings. All these things were a bit unnecessary. These are things that we can be able to tackle in a very peaceful manner, which we have the stakeholders sitting together or even coming up with various ways, peaceful ways of solving those problems. Sometimes students go to the extent of throwing stones, blocking roads, causing a lot of looting, in the city. A number of things which can be able to be avoided, and we look for better solutions. These are issues that we have addressed and seen results. Take, for instance, the kind of bills we have had before. Financial bills. We have come, even last year when we had hike in fuel prices. University students came up with a petition which went the floor of the House, and it was successful. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Anthony. There's something you said there about there are peaceful ways that can be pursued. So in your view, activism is not just the demonstration in the streets and that kind of thing, and that the peaceful ways are actually ongoing?
Well, I really don't advocate for peaceful means all the time. Sometimes, of course, we have seen students fight for, even the university my friend is coming from, that is JKUAT. We have staged a protest there in, I think, 2020, when one student was killed by the surrounding villagers there, some people. What I'm trying to say is very simple. Students have always protested in an extent that people don't hear. Sometimes we come up with security stakeholders from the National Police Service. We sit down with them and try to exchange, see whether we come up with an amicable solution. If it doesn't materialize, then we call our students, we call for a national demonstration. Only that nowadays, also I will also add that something that has really affected the activism, the active activism of students in the country, is lack of a proper opposition government. The opposition that was there right now is in bed with the current government, which means there's a handshake. Now, have students been part and parcel of that handshake? No. So, for any activism to take part and for students to be very strong, you need a partner who is able to have the same ideological thinking with you, who shares the same aspirations with you, and even to support you. If you tell a student, of course, to strike without maybe something like the resources and all we have, then it's practically not possible.